believe 40 years ago when 10 riders turned up and paid $10 each, that 40 years later it'd still be going, and it's bigger and better than ever before. So thank you all for supporting week one.
And welcome to season 40 of Heffron Park Tuesday night. Who would have thought 40 years ago John Sunday would be creating something that lives so gloriously and importantly in all of our lives now? So once again, for this season, we are joined by the illustrious Mr. Heffron Park, John Sunday. Good evening, John.
Hey, Alexi, and welcome on board, Vaughan.
And Vaughan McVilly.
Thank you.
Talk about pressure. Having to take over the voice of Paul Craft, who's just gallivanting around Europe at the moment on his bicycle, living the ultimates. And so we've kindly had Vaughan step in to pretty much like the boiling pit of having to step up and commentate on a Tuesday night. Because as we'll show now, here was the finishing line video.
I can't tell who anyone is, but there's some white helmets coming at me very fast with a black helmet in the middle. Kurt Ether opening up the spins, clear winner. 1-2 for Case. And I think Tom Hyde may have got up there for first B grade.
And Vaughan, run us through what was going through your mind in those last couple of laps, because people don't realise how hard it is to spot people. They just come by in a blur at 55k an hour down the straight, and you're meant to rattle off 50 names. Like, are they bang, bang, bang?
Absolutely. New kits. I'm not going to make any excuses, though. It's actually really quite a super hard job, especially following Crafty, who's a legend at it, and he's so good at picking up just like by the shapes of the way people ride. He knows the Sydney cycling scene so intimately that he can even just see how someone coming over the pimple, he knows who it is, right? I'm like, too many white and black helmets. That's a huge issue for me. I was trying to pick out, the bright bib colours of Attacker were good. I could start to, obviously, the Centennial Park boys I know quite well. I could start to sort of get an understanding. But, yeah, as they were coming down the straight, I'm getting a bit old. I'm starting to hit 50. The eyes aren't very good. I'm looking down going, I have no idea who's racing towards me.
I just wanted to add at 3 to go, you picked out Jack Bennett. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was halfway through the race. I didn't realise he was in Melbourne. I like him, you see.
Yeah. Because week one, you were probably hoping that only 5 people would be left with a couple of laps to go to make it really easy. Instead, we probably had one of the largest finishing fields and largest couple of bunches almost in 40 years. John, what was your take on how the race unfolded?
It was quite surprising, wasn't it? But first, I just wanted to say, what an amazing milestone. 40th season of the same thing every Tuesday night, every summer for 40 years. It's the single thing that I've done the most of in my entire life, apart from being married for 41 years. But that doesn't count because this is, someone said to me, far more important. Sorry, honey, I'll make it up to you. So after the washout of the week before, I think there was a little added, heightened level of expectation and anticipation. And with the extra week, we also had a returning bunch of riders that had been in China racing. Most of the Case Parker guys were back. So that added another dimension. And I thought some of the impetus in the entries had shifted from the lower grades to the higher grades. It's not probably the biggest B grade we've ever had for a Tuesday night, like 36 riders.
I thought it was a huge B grade, but also the quality of the A grade fields was super impressive. And with a number of returning riders who perhaps we haven't seen for a season or two. I'm thinking Riley Field, Alex Naz, were all suddenly back on the start line. Who else do we have in there? There was not always there. You'll probably be able to run me through, but obviously the Case Park boys as well, all turned up. And, yeah, made for a huge field. Vaughan, what were you thinking early on? C grade rolled out probably at a little bit of a slow pace. I mean, they got caught with, was it 8 or 9 to go?
Yeah, they were caught very, very early in the piece. Why was that, Alexi?
Well, I think C grade hadn't quite worked out how you actually do like a rolling pace line. I don't think there was ever more than 2 people actually ever rolling along. So, but So, because early on, I was like, oh, I'll kind of sit here, see what's going on. And then I kind of drifted to the back to kind of watch. And I almost thought to myself, this is almost like an actual C grade. Like in one of the few weeks you thought, actually, everyone here is just going along thinking, there's no way I'm going to last 13, 14 laps. And so as opposed to weeks where you'll just have some people just flying and smashing it, it was, yeah, almost an honest C grade. Probably lacking our South American companions, who often add a bit of spice, and we'll get it working. So look, C grade will get it together, but without a doubt, it was a night for B grade, who had the numbers, but
Yeah, certainly did. And
They
finished
looked
with finished with the numbers too, didn't they?
They lost the bike race, in my view, B grade. There was
Yeah.
that 4 laps to go. Little, I don't know what that move was, but where 4 got a road way. Chris Simpson went across. They came across with 2 laps to go. Chris Simpson talking to a group of 3 riders, soft pedaling as the group caught back up to them. I was looking at I've just got on my screen over here, 4 of the riders in B grade, 3 of the riders from C grade. So the first thing I was going to quickly say about the first 3 laps of B grade were third lap of B grade was their fastest lap for the entire race, including when they got caught by A grade.
wow.
So that says something, right? That's on Robbie's numbers. So he said it was absolutely flying. He said B grade was really, really smooth. And then I'm looking at Lily Fassan's numbers. She was pulling some good turns, some monster turns, to be honest. She had her highest power for the first 30 minutes that she's had in a long, long time. And again, for the first 3 laps of C grade seemed to be really, really high. But then obviously C grade's dropped quite quickly. But what we did see in B grade is Centennial Park, once again, Ben Glastonbury, Tommy Hyde, the Big Nidge, Neil Percival, and then a mixture of a couple of the other guys from Attacker and a few of the Hydroplay boys and Randwick guys really just kept that pace high. But they sort of sat between 3 and 4 seconds for the rest of the race. They were quite consistent laps for B grade, where C grade just fell in a massive hole after those quick, that's what the data sort of telling me after those quick sort of 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, the Iron Chef, she was there at the front in the first 3 laps. Yeah, absolutely being super aggressive. So Lily's obviously been getting the training and is obviously keen to try and beat Nicole O.
Very keen. There's a little bit of a competition there. As it turned out, Nicole was the only female finisher on Tuesday night, and did speak to Lily after to ask her how she went. And she admitted it was her first race since last March. So it just goes to show you can train and ride for as long and as far as you want, but nothing beats racing. And just on that note, going back to A grade, a few more riders there than we would normally see, and they wanted to I'm good enough for A grade. I've been training hard all winter. Haven't been racing, but been training, and quite a few of them, I would say, got found out very early in the piece. Because there was a bunch of riders in A grade that had lost touch inside the first 5 laps.
Right. That's interesting because more than 50% of them finished. So there was obviously a few that went out the back. But if we look at, just quickly, I'll go back to B grade. I was surprised at how quickly B grade caught C grade, but then didn't destroy the C grade field.
No, they didn't. But that's sometimes the case, though, because as Vaughan said, Robbie Allen's highest or fastest lap was on the 3rd lap, and B grade, because of the numbers and the horsepower, go hell for leather in the opening laps. Then about mid-race, they start to run out of puff, and then start to ride a little bit more strategically, let's say. So I can only assume that when they caught C grade, they started to think about the options. Oh, I could win this. I'm not going to do any work. I could win this. I'm not going to do any work. And maybe that's what you were referring to, Vaughan, with was it Ben Glastonbury having a chat to a few people at 3 to go. But I'll also add that if you look at the drone footage, which will pop up soon, there was that little A grade still had a lot of work to do on that last lap.
Oh.
I mean, it took them from the finish line till after the second pimple to actually get to the front. They only got to the front coming into the straight,
taking nothing away from that, because I spoke to obviously both Kurt and Little Will after the bike race, and if you remember, we were sitting on that start-finish line, and for the laps 3 to go and 2 to go, Kurt Ether was on the front for the whole length of the straight, just driving it like absolute man. I was like, oh, well, what is he doing? He's just using this as a training ride. You're not going to be going that hard, these guys. But they closed in, caught them, and that drone footage, thank you, Mr. Scribo, is absolutely amazing just to see the carnage. People, do I ride? We've just caught them. Am I going to make it through? There's a couple of people that were indecisive. They weren't hard pedaling, but then you saw the Chris Miller's video is really good as well on his thing.
Absolutely.
You see him go around at the outside and then bang it, and then all of a sudden a couple of other A grades that had started to soft pedal nearly went, oh, we're still on here. We need to go again. And yeah, like it was so good.
So I've put up the drone footage now, which shows you again the technology that certainly wasn't available 40 years ago. And Richard is
we didn't
just
even have
taking...
cameras 40 years ago.
But now we're getting drone footage, like literally following the race. So here we've just entered the last lap. We're showing the glorious sunset. Obviously, you want to get stuck there in the trees, but A had to get through the entirety of B and C coming into that last lap.
And that's over 50 riders.
Yeah, that's right. So maybe we'll actually just skip ahead a little here as they enter the squircle. But I mean, how good is this? Like this. Okay, so where are we at now? Okay, so these are the 3 B graders who are away. So perhaps, and we've obviously got a lot of Benny Glastonbury there's doing the work for as rider.
Tom Hyde on his wheel. Yep.
Who's the
Mark
Peloton
Rowling
sports rider? I don't know who that is. That Mark Rowlings?
Yeah, it's Mark Rowling on his wheel.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's either Mark Rowling or might be Luke Huskins.
And then you've got, so the 3 B graders are still away here. Kurt Ether's about to, is that Kurt who is making? Look, there's Naz in the, that's the
Willie's
key I
first.
love. Bright orange bib shorts.
Yeah.
And a green, like that is something at least you're able to recognize who it is. Talk about making the comeback though. Hasn't raced for a couple of seasons.
Don't call it a comeback.
Don't call it a comeback.
So I just want to just chuck in here, funny little side story. So Robbie Allen hit the front as they left the straight.
Is that Robbie Allen there? 113?
No, that's Reece Nolan.
Yeah, so Robbie, that's Reece Nolan there, but Reece Nolan was on Robbie's wheel. But at the start of the straight, when he entered the straight with a lap to go, he had Ian Morrison on his wheel, and Ian Morrison's saddle broke, and Robbie didn't pick his head up. So Robbie just emptied the tank for Ian, looked over, and it was Reece on the wheel.
This is really, really interesting. So Willie has launched down the right-hand side.
That's right.
Followed by Naz to his left.
That's right, who's in the middle. And you see Kurt Ether in number 9.
Kurt is coming from behind, but check the middle of the track, Adrian Pellegrin.
Yep.
He was in that group of 3, and he's waited, and then as the 3 A graders have come past, just watch, and there's Chris Miller on the right-hand side.
Yeah,
I think that's right.
I've also paused it here for one moment because at this moment, Willie Heffron's actually looking down because he's unclipped.
Yeah.
He actually popped out his pedal here, and Naz has gone. Now, in years gone by, that is just Naz cruising to victory. But unfortunately, Father Time is starting to catch up to him. So we'll kick it on. They kick on. Kurt Ether just powers up from the left here.
But once again, watch Adrian Pellegrin there on the left-hand side. Head going left to right.
Left to right. But I'm also going to point out one of young Ben Coates. The European season has done him very well because he's whipped up from this position. And you'll see where he finishes. And Rowley, right? Does that guy every season in B grade there in the Woolies wheels doing well? And also Lucas Stevenson.
Yeah, he was top 10. He was
now. 10. Is that Riley? That's not
no,
Riley.
That's Tom Gray.
That's Tom Gray. Wow.
Yeah.
And Chris Miller, he's obviously been working on his sprint.
Yeah.
But Kurt Ether, he's just got it by a mile. Naz sits up, and there we go.
The ride from young Heffron was absolutely amazing because it's probably a good, if you slow it down to that drone footage, you see that Naz probably gets 5 pedal strokes, 4 and a bit pedal strokes if you slow it right down. So it's 4 pedal strokes of no power, gets his foot back in, gets up, sprints, and still gets second.
Yeah.
And he was going past Naz with some speed, right? So he was going to probably open up a bit of the gap there. And the Kurt Ether was just amazing. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, Adrian Pellegrin, like that was a quality bike ride. Because smart, right? He was in the third wheel in those B graders.
In the mini
as you
group,
just said, John, very astutely. He just waited perfectly. And then let them come, and where he got off and went, I was like, that is just smart riding.
Because
really,
really
good.
What would normally happen if you had a B grader in that position who was up the road a little bit in that small group of three, by the time they get to that part of the track when A grade kicked, a B grader would normally get left behind. But he was just that metre or so in front of Tommy Bolton and Benny Coates, and managed to hold them off all the way to the line. So very, very impressive, Adrian.
Yeah, no, that was a super strong ride. I just also want to point out he wasn't in the sprint, but when we're talking about strong rides, Michael Stanton of Dulwich rode very well in C grade. He is very strong. We'll also obviously be showing Ollie Penny. He has some great footage following those guys through the pack. Again, they are just amazing how quickly they can catch and pass everyone else. Probably then we'll just then move. This is very much the espresso round of our podcast this week due to a number of commitments for all of us. But you'll probably wonder what that jersey is behind us. That is the Heffron Season 40 podcast jersey, thanks to Detour, Custom, who launched themselves. Chris Reynolds and Allison have gone off there. And that is the vortex of the galaxy, where basically everything, all that matters in the world is sucked in to Heffron Park Tuesday night. And so whether it's the wind, who's rolling turns, that's what that jersey means. It's the vortex and of course, get yourself a t-shirt. 40th season.
Heffron, that's right. Available on $40 from the
$40. Bring your cash.
And great looking t-shirt it is too. And thank you, Detour, on the contribution to the jersey. Just on Detour customer, also a good opportunity to remind everybody we've got extra prize money for B and C grade. So in previous seasons, you got the prize money going to the first three overall, and then the first rider in the other grades. Whereas this year we're paying first, second, and third for the two minor grades, whoever they turn out to be. So courtesy of Detour Custom. So thanks, guys. Much appreciated.
Rode with actually Chris joined me on the walk this morning, so we had a great chat about Tuesday night. He's very proud to be a part of it, and it's a fantastic. I've seen a lot of their clothing. It's a fantastic brand. And just on the old cash prize money, the Pellegrin double dipped, John.
Yeah, well, that previously, if you were third, you got the third prize money. And originally, if you won your grade, it would be the first person in that grade, not in the top 5 or the top 3.
Yeah,
but
I
now
always
that
thought it was a scam. Oh, you get dudded. You should be always getting the double. Pay the daily double.
But now, of course, with the top 3 in all grades, well done again, Adrian, on the double dip.
Because I must admit, getting the jersey by Detour, that was pretty quick and easy. So I was very happy with my service that I received. But I suppose if we now look at the podiums for each of the grades, so C grade 1, 2, 3 was Matthew Galinsky of Centennial Park, picked up his win.
Was he Centennial Park? Oh yeah, but he was in the Rapid. He was in the Rapid jersey. So
then second was Luca. Zuka.
Just wanted to say on Matt's win, he's pretty excited at that. First time at Heffron Park last season. I don't think Matt's been riding that long. And he performed well. I think overall he was top 15 across the line as well. So that just goes to prove once again.
He may see himself in B grade by the end of the season. Second was Luca Zucchiati. And then third was Liam Denver of Dulwich.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who was more excited in C grade crossing the line. Liam getting third because his teammate won, or Matt winning because he beat his teammate. But just a quick shout out to young Luca, first time racing at Heffron from the Neo Cycling Club. And yeah, he did pretty impressed with his ride.
Now,
In fact,
yep, you go. I was
just going to
actually
say
going to say that.
all the C graders, and shout out to the other two girls that raced, who didn't manage to finish, Lily and
Caitlin Rose.
Caitlin Rose, yeah. Great to have them racing, and I'm looking forward to seeing more girls race as we head into the season.
That's
Caitlin
right.
Rose was fantastic. She came pretty early while I was setting up the speakers and stuff. She then came over and she goes, "Do you think this is a problem?" And one of her front tyre had completely delaminated around the bead. So we lent her one of the great carbon wheels that you guys have there as spares. And she was out there and she was asking heaps of questions because it was her first time. She was super excited. And yeah, and she rode quite well, to be honest, because as I said, it was a fast start to C grade. So she was in the deep water straight away.
The other rider I would have to say, which surprised me, I was only going to go top 3, but 4th place was Pongsak again.
Pongsak has been climbing up the leaderboard since last. I think he turned up first time last October.
Do you know, I did not see him in the race. I actually didn't know he was there. So well done.
There.
Also,
He was there. Well done.
Well, if I didn't even know you're in the race and it's a handicap, woof, you've worked hard. B grade top 3, first Adrian Pellegrin, second Rolo, ever reliable, doing just enough to make sure he doesn't get promoted back up to A, and third Reece Nolan of Sutherland.
Well, Reece was in that mini group going over the Pimple, so he was well positioned. And I guess when everyone watches the drone footage, he's the first one. Reece is actually the first one into the straight. So after Robbie has sat up, Reece has had a go and then got spomped, but managed to hold on. And by the way, Reece, your envelope's waiting for you next Tuesday night. So make sure you turn up.
The other rider, which you'd then have to congratulate, though, 10th place in B grade, Mr. Greg Rule, Mr. 40 Seasons. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely. The only rider, Bill Racing, who lined up on the very first night of Heffron way back in October '85.
That is cool.
If you ask me, I think he's going better now than he ever went.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well at the moment. I mean, top 10, and then Nicole Lowe was obviously 18th in first female over the line, 18th in B grade. I have no idea what that means on the overall score because I'm not looking at it. But again, another wonderful ride by Nicole, and she'll be looking to dominate there. We move over to A grade. A grade first, obviously, Kurt Ether. Not much to say there. If he turns up every week, he's going to win.
Yeah.
He'll be the quickest. Jack's going to have a bit of work cut out for him. Second, Willie Heff. Will he win a race himself this season?
100% yes.
Yep, we're already calling it. He'll win it. Yep. Third, Ben Coates.
He'll also get a win.
He'll get
he'll get one. I reckon Benny Coates is going to get a win before Christmas.
Yeah. Before Christmas, wow! Paul Kraft, already wants to give him every week rider of the week, and now you're saying you'll also win overall. There's a few people who want to stop him though. Tom Bolton still sitting fourth.
Yeah, if you watch if you look at the drone, you see Tommy just gets a bit squeezed about 50 meters from the sideline. And Ben had that inside line, the outside line on the far side of the track, and just got across the. Had Tommy not got squeezed, I reckon he would have been a spot in front. But well done to Ben Coates.
Absolutely. He then therefore edged out Bolton, Miller, Naz, Ollie Penny was 8th, Lucas Stevenson's 9th, and again, talk about another right. I don't know how many seasons he's got to go. Brad Mills. Millsy.
Millsy. I gotta hand it to Millsy. I tell you what, on the tools, I say it every year, every season, on the tools every day. I thought I'd worked pretty hard, but I'll give it to you, Millsy. I think you most probably do work a little bit harder.
And I guarantee you that everyone knew that he was in that race. Because he was working.
And he doesn't miss a race and turns up and puts in and is always there at the finish. Always. So well done, Millsy. Tuesday night Heffron wouldn't be the same. But yeah, just behind him. How about Riley Field? I thought Riley was like nose breathing the whole race, making it look easy.
Yeah.
He's just building it up, and then he'll go the long range attack. We should also mention in 14th place, it was probably what slowed him down, Phil Lucas. Now that he has a ring on the finger, congratulations, Phil, on the big announcement engagement there. And then
the ring on his finger was through his nose or his ear.
And Chris Ling, 16th, returning from the World Track Champs. I think he was a gold medalist.
Yeah, as
He
a world
certainly
champ.
was.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the World Masters track champion, and great to see Chris Ling. He's a big part of A grade. Good to have Jesse Coyle back too. There is one name there in the finishes, and that's Josh Evans. I have it on good authority from his father. The first time Josh has ever beaten his father in a race. But that's coming from his father. So someone would have to fact check that.
Wow.
Now, John, let me just jump in there. There was some chatter sort of with about 4 or 5 laps to go with, 2 of the A graders and a bit of stalwarts of Tuesday Night Heffron, Mr. Shippard and Mr. Dave Evans. They had a few words about C grade. Were they complimentary words to you, or were they?
No, I got to the bottom of that, and what is it's quite important too. But everyone's got to remember, first race of the season, everyone's just finding their feet again. We had 6 new riders on Tuesday night, and Tuesday night Heffron is different. And what they were talking about is, as A grade were picking up lap riders, for whatever reason, the lapped riders were in the racing line. And so if you are lapped and you lose, not necessarily, but if you lose contact with your bunch, be very mindful of A grade still racing behind, because they're looking for every single advantage they can get through every corner. And if you're in the racing line, they're going to get upset. So that it's just everyone understanding where the racing line is and staying out of the racing line if you're not in a bunch. That's all.
100% well said.
And also, it's one of those things, early season, you've got to realise if it's a couple of laps to go, your race is over. Like, if you've been dropped, it's not roll around and let's get my exercise in because I've paid my $20.
I can actually go a bit further on that. I think I was coming back to our commissaire, Robin, and if you've lost contact completely with your bunch at 5 to go, just for the safety of everybody on the track, your race is over.
Yep.
Look, it was a great week. We've mentioned so many names. It's just great to be back for another season. So,
one quick thing about I just wanted to quickly mention James Langadite back racing hard was so good to see. That guy looks amazing on a bike. Like 2009, he was like getting top 5s in the Bay Classics against all the pros. I think he was Junior Worlds in 2007, top 10 time, and he's back. It
was good to see.
I don't know about his kit, Langers. Can you get some nicer kit, mate? But as far as like how he looks on the bike, how he rides,
couldn't agree more with you, Vaughan. And it was good it was great to have him come race last year, and even greater to see him come back this year. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to all the club volunteers who got down there at 4 o'clock on Tuesday for the track setup. It is a big commitment, and everyone who turns up is volunteering. Round of applause to the team from East that make this happen, and also the sponsors in the pre-Christmas rounds. That's naming rights that has gone to Detour Custom Clothing, which we've spoken about. Congratulations, everybody, for making it happen.
And 105 riders on the start line on Tuesday, not a single crash. Don't even know if there was a flat tire during the race. It went superbly. It's just such a well-oiled machine now. When the drone's flying around, 25 photographers, a man on the sideline, it's bigger than Ben Hur.
Well, I just got to say that you said something at the beginning of the podcast about what we did 40 years ago. Just to put it into perspective, on that very first race 40 years ago, there were 30 riders. There were 10 in each grade. It was $2 to enter. and Harry Scott had the boot of his car open. We used to have a gate there where that little bank is, where the finish line is, and that's where you entered and you got your number out of the boot of his car. First prize was $5.
Right.
Yeah. Well, hey, the prize pool was only 60.
60
Yeah.
bucks. Yep.
The
Yeah.
only
No,
thing
actually,
that
no.
hasn't
The
gotten
first.
bigger
Sorry,
is
I
the
tell a
size
lie.
of the race
I
pins.
tell a lie. The first prize was $10.
There you
Yeah.
go. But
That's
I
all.
tell you, the race pins. Well, do we try next week? We need smaller ones. We seem to have gotten the world's smallest race pins this round.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we might have to do something about those, because
Yeah.
the worst thing you want is the pins falling off mid-race and then
Some of
ending
us
up in
aren't
everyone's
used to
tires.
dealing with very small pins.
That's it.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, after 40 seasons, what everyone wants to know is who will be the Chargill Charlie's Rider of the Week. I mean,
Yeah, I gotta get the voucher. I gotta get
got
the
to get
voucher.
the vouchers, got to get some money because well, look at that, don't.
There it is.
There it is, the
There we go.
Chargill Charlies. Who is gonna now? Vaughan, from the microphone, who are you thinking?
From the
who did you
microphone,
like?
I'm going to definitely nominate little Will Heffron. I think pulling your foot and still sprinting for second, and just seeing that footage, I thought was outstanding. So that's who I'll nominate.
Okay.
I'm
John?
going for Adrian Pellegrini. I thought under the radar, not that familiar with Tuesday night, made the effort to come up from the Illawarra, and not only holding the A graders off in the sprint, but being in the right place at the right time, and picking up the double dip.
Okay. So just for mine, so where did he finish overall?
He was third.
He was third over the line.
Yeah, third over the line.
Okay, all right. So I'm just going to, I mean, obviously I've previously called out Michael Stanton of Dulwich-Hill. He rode very well in C grade. Ben Glover as well rode very well.
Ben Glover's going well.
Yeah, he is riding very well. So I liked those riders. I'd also, they're not going to get my rider of the week, but Tom Hyde, fourth, Centennial Park. I mean, he's doing a mountain of work and still to get up fourth. Great result. And probably he looks around at the rest of his teammates and says, well, can't do it all. We need to commit even more riders to the front of that B grade bunch. Look, Willie Heff is a good result, but look, I'll probably agree with John on this one, and I'll give the deciding vote to Adrian because, like I said, third over the line. Wow, that's a great finish because there are a lot of fast finishes there. So Benny Coates, is going to be disappointed, but look, Paul will be back in a few weeks, and he can get all his Chargill Charlie dollars then. So with that, last lap.
Off the front, as you see, Chris Gibson go across the end, but Jack Bennett is already there, and it's going on. There's riders everywhere, be careful.
Final thoughts, Vaughan?
Week one, B grade lost to A grade. That's my last thought.
Yeah,
let's start with that 4 laps, 3 laps to go. A little bit of looking at each other, and this is what I'm getting told by old boys. Four guys go off the front. What's that about? If I look at the lap times, that's when they went to 58, where they were riding 52s.
I mean, to catch B grade with 8, 9 to go and not win, probably says you threw it away that week.
Yep. Their last lap was a 2:53, the very last lap, and their second lap was a 2:43, 10 seconds faster on the second lap of the race.
Oh, how did so many people finish?
Yeah.
How were there not 5 people left after 3 laps?
It wasn't windy. That's
no wind.
So, last lap, just wanted to say what a great first week after 40 seasons. And I posted a photo to reflect on Heffron on one of my socials the other night, and I saw a couple of comments. Well done! What a great opportunity! But two of the comments that stood out that I thought sort of summed up just really how big Heffron was. lovely to hear from Scott McGorry. So Scooter, carved
Scooter.
out his own place in Australian cycling folklore, and was just recently, I think, over in Copenhagen doing the track commentary. But the comment that really touched me was from Scotty Sunderland, the race director of the Tour of Flanders. So that's not bad, like for the race director of the Tour of all the Flanders Classics, actually, to still remember Heffron, I thought was pretty cool.
And that was on the night it happened as well. It wasn't like 2 weeks later he suddenly logged on and going, see Heffron. He knew Heffron was back. And probably because everyone in Belgium
Everyone,
is really talking about, because they've just
everyone in
got
the
their
world
off
knows
season. And
everyone
they're
in the
thinking,
world knows Heffron's
they're
on.
now racing at Heffron in the vortex. That is Heffron Tuesday night. So with that, we're going to leave you. We thank Richard Scriven so much for the footage that he's provided in tonight's podcast. The drone footage really takes it to another level. Also, again, his photos. So make sure when you do repost them on your social media, you do tag him. We'll obviously have that tag throughout our show. But until then, what do we always say? See you next
Tuesday.
Entries open now on Buncher. Get them in. We want to see 110 riders next Tuesday.
Absolutely.
See you all then.